Hi mates, how's everyone doing today? Right, so in this episode or in this session we'll be discussing some idioms which are relating to the topic of health. It's a very useful convention whenever you're studying vocabulary to classify the vocabulary you're learning into topics or into certain themes so that it becomes useful to you and it gets handy whenever you try to use it in your writing or in your speech, if you're making a certain speech about a particular topic, or if you are going to write an assignment or a paper on a certain topic. You can get back to that topic vocabulary in your vocabulary notebook, and you can utilize all the vocabulary about it in your writing or in your speech, which is supposed to enrich it and make it more native-like, more authentic, more natural, and more appealing to the listeners or the readers. Right, so today's idioms, or today's session about idioms, will be relating to the topic of health. Let's get straight into them. I don't want to waste your time. So, if you want to say that someone is not feeling very well, I'm not saying here that someone is extremely ill. Sometimes you feel a little bit not very well. You're not ill, like you're not literally ill, but you're not feeling very well, as if you're about to go down with a certain disease or to come down with a certain disease. To convey this meaning, we say that someone is feeling under the weather. For example, Mark, that's a man or a boy, has been feeling under the weather for weeks. Mark has been feeling under the weather for weeks. As you can see, the meaning of the idiom under the weather means not feeling very well, not feeling very healthy, but it's not relating to the words composing it, because as we said earlier, what makes an idiom is the fact that the words making it up are not relevant at all in meaning to the meaning of the entire idiom. Also, another one which means feeling not very well, it's considered to be synonymous in its meaning to under the weather, is off color. So you can say that Sandy is off color today, so she's gonna take the day off from work. Again, Sandy is off color today, so she's gonna take the day off from work, or she's gonna take the day at home. So if you feel under the weather, or if you feel off color, this means that you don't feel very well. You feel unwell. So what is an idiom that means that someone is extremely ill? You can say this idiom, or you can use this idiom: look like death warmed up. Look like death warmed up. So you can use this idiom in an example as follows: Susan came into the office looking like death warmed up, so we told her to go away for a few days. Again, Susan came into the office looking like death warmed up. That's the idiom. She was looking extremely ill, so we advised her, or we told her, to go away for a few days. Right. When you go away, it means that you travel or you go to another place apart from home for a couple of days in order to, and that's a new idiom, in order to recharge your batteries. To recharge your batteries means that you do something, a certain activity, or you just relax in order to become fresh again, to gain fresh energy, and to restore your enthusiasm. Right. Also, if you want to say that someone is perfectly well, like in terms of their health, they're extremely healthy, we say that this person is as fit as a fiddle. A fiddle is another word for a violin. You know the violin, the musical instrument. So if you describe a person that by saying that they are as fit as a fiddle, that's a type of idiom which we described before, called a simile. A simile because you liken somebody or something to somebody or something using the word as or the word like. So this is a simile. It's a type of idiom, and when you describe a person as being as fit as a fiddle, It means that you describe them as being extremely healthy and very fit. They are in good health condition. And if someone is recovering, so they were ill, they were not feeling very well, they have been feeling under the weather or off color for a while, and they are recovering, you can say that they are on the mend. On the mend. This means that this person is recovering, is getting better in terms of their health gradually. Right, so these were a couple of idioms about health. I'll give you now a couple of idioms which are used to say that someone is crazy. This meaning is pretty common in English. If you want to describe someone as crazy, you can use a multitude of idioms for that purpose, and I'm going to give you a handful of them right now. You can say, for example, that this person is off their trolley. The trolley in British English is the same as a shopping cart in American English, right? It's this vehicle that you push and you put all your groceries, all your shopping in whenever you're at a market or at a supermarket or at a grocery store. So if you describe a person as being off their trolley, off her or his trolley, this means that they're crazy. You can also say that they have got a screw loose. A screw loose. You know, whenever you have a table or a chair, this chair or this table is fixed in its place and is strong and solid because of nails and screws. So if one of these nails or one of those screws is loose, this is going to make the table or the chair a bit shaky. So if you describe a person as having a screw loose, this means that they are crazy. You can also describe them as a basket case. A basket case. For native excuse me. For native speakers, these idioms are pretty funny. Maybe for non-native speakers, they don't see the humor in them. But for native speakers, they find them really funny, really hilarious. If you describe a person as a basket case, this means they are crazy. If you describe them as off their rocker, a rocker is a chair that keeps swinging. It's a chair that you sit in and it keeps swinging because it's got curvy base or curvy legs, you know. So if someone, a man for example, is off his rocker, this means that they are crazy. So all of these idioms are used for the same purpose, which is describing a person as being mad or crazy. I'm going to say them again. Off her trolley. He or she has got a screw loose. He or she is a basket case. And finally, he or she is off their rocker. Right. Now we're going to move on to another bunch of idioms which mean that someone has died. So instead of saying die, which is a very straightforward way of conveying the idea, you can use an idiom. If you say that someone has kicked the bucket, someone has kicked the bucket, this means that they have died. So as you can see, again, I'll keep stressing this point all the time. Idioms are mostly not guessable. You cannot guess their meanings from the words composing them or from the words making them up. So if you kick the bucket, it means that you die. If you pop your clogs, if someone pops their clogs, this means that they have died as well. You can also say that someone has died by using the idiom that this person has bitten the dust. If someone bites the dust, this means that this person has died. You can also use another idiom with the same meaning, which is say that someone has given up the ghost. Someone has given up the ghost. This means that they have died. And lastly, regarding idioms about death, or the idioms which mean that someone has died, you can say that someone has fallen off his perch or her perch. So if someone falls off their perch, it means that this person has died. Right. In the next section, which is going to be the last section of today's lesson or of today's session, I'll give you some idioms which are based on medical images, meaning that the idioms I'm going to talk about right now are idioms which contain words relating to medicine, the medical profession. If you describe something as a sore point or a sore spot, you know, sore is like something that's got some inflammation and it aches you, it's painful. The idiom looks like as if it's related to health and medicine, but the fact of the matter is that it's nothing to do with that. So if you describe something as a sore point or a sore spot, this means that this subject someone doesn't want to talk about because it makes people angry or embarrassed. So a sore point or a sore spot is a topic or a subject that you should avoid referring to, talking about, or writing about, because it's going to spark controversy and cause a lot of disagreement amongst the people involved. I'll give you an example to highlight this idiom. You say, for instance, try not to mention baldness while he's here. It's a sore spot for him. Baldness is the fact that you don't have hair on your head. You've lost your hair or you don't have hair. So if someone is bald, B-A-L-D, this means that they don't have any hair on their head. So the example says, don't mention baldness while he's here because he's bald and that's a sore spot for him. Another idiom, if you give someone a taste or a dose of their own medicine, if you give somebody or someone a taste or a dose of their own medicine, this means that they have done something bad to you and you do the same bad thing to them in return in order to show them how unpleasant that action was. So someone upset you, someone annoyed you, or even someone hurt or harmed you, and you give them a dose or a taste of their own medicine by doing the same thing to them to show them how bad it is. For example, I'll give you an example to show or to underline the meaning. Refusing to lend him money now would give him a taste of his own medicine. He's never lent you any. We're talking here about a person that you have tried to borrow some money from them before and they refuse to lend you the money. Now it's the other way around. They are asking you to lend them some money. So if you refuse to lend them money now, this would be giving them a taste or a dose of their own medicine, doing the same harmful or hurtful action to them that they have done to you before. Right, the next one. If you describe something as a bitter pill to swallow, a bitter pill to swallow, bitter here is spelled B-I-T-T-E-R. As something that's a bitter pill to swallow is unpleasant, it's something horrible, it's something bad, but you are obliged to accept it. You're forced to accept it. Example, losing my job was a bitter pill to swallow. So I lost my job. That was something horrible, something horrific, but I didn't have any other choice but to accept it. What could I do? They dismissed me, they laid me off, or they fired me. What should I do, or what could I do? So it was a bitter pill for me to swallow, meaning that it was something horrible, something horrendous, but I had no option, no choice but to accept it. Another one, if you sugar the pill, this means that you do something in order to make something unpleasant more acceptable. So there is something that someone will not like, or people will not prefer, people will not like. So you try to sugar the pill by making that thing that people are not going to like, by making it more acceptable, more appealing, so that people accept it. For example, the boss has sugared the overtime pill by offering a large extra payment. So the boss is asking some employees, to do some overtime. That's bad news for them. Of course, that's something that they won't like. But in order to make this more appealing to them, more acceptable by them, the boss or the manager sugars the pill by offering them extra money in return. So he or she, the boss, tells them, if you do that overtime, I'll give you extra payment in return in order to sugar the pill and make it more appealing or more acceptable by the workers. And the last one, which I'm going to finish my session with today, if you describe a person as having itchy feet, as you can see, all of the idioms I've been talking about so far are idioms which contain words relating to medicine, relating to health, and so forth. So if you say that someone has itchy feet, this means that they want to travel a lot. They don't feel like staying in the place where they are. They want to travel or move around. Example, I can't stay in one place for a year without getting itchy feet. So you might have itchy feet, or you might get itchy feet. The two verbs have and get collocate with the idiom correctly. So the example says, I can't stay in one place for a year or for more than a year without having itchy feet or without getting itchy feet. So as you could see, these idioms really rejuvenate your command of English. They spice up your language, and they make it more vivid, more colorful, and more appealing to the listeners or the readers. Try to use as many of them in your writing and your speaking as much as you can. And today it was a session of idioms about health, relating to health and medicine. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you noted down some of those idioms to use them in your everyday life when it comes to English and dealing in English with other English speakers. And as usual, I look forward to seeing you in our next session, in our next episode. Enjoy the rest of your day, and goodbye.